I earlier posed in my conversation with you this morning the question of whether or not the National Party has become Labour Party light. And I mentioned that our next guest, I must have been sitting yesterday at the caucus, as Labour Party caucus in Auckland, full day, wetting himself with some delight and glee at three particular pieces of information or news or policy releases that the National Party put out, which could have been plucked, one would have thought, direct from the Labour Party manifesto. The Fair Bargaining Digital News Bill as a resurrection, the building changes proposed by Chris Bishop, which just seem a complete rerun of those that were put in there by Phil Twyford, and also new government legislation which has co-governance at the heart of some of its policy. Joining us to talk about all these matters, my favourite broadcasting minister, Willie Jackson. Willie, how are you, mate?
I'm very good, mate. I'm very good. And, gee, there might be hope for these stories here, Michael? You know?
Well, that's just what I was thinking. You would have been wetting yourself, wouldn't you?
Oh, well, Goldie's a decent sort of bloke, and I got to say, I was listening to you. I'm a bit disappointed with you. You're always a bloke who would sort of look after the little bloke, I always remember that, you prided yourself on looking after the little bloke, and you used to rail against these big multinationals, Michael, but I don't know, now Meta's paying all the bills at the platform, and you've sold off, you and Sean Plunket, sold your souls down the tube.
I'll say something about you, Willie. You've never, ever, ever let the facts get in the way, have you? I mean, you live in this lovely alternate reality. What's it like there, Willie? Is it fun?
It's been pretty good, actually. I had a good last few years, Michael, I tell you.
I bet you have. Yeah, I'm in charge now. Whoa. Who can I give money to?
It's not so good on the other side, mate. It's not so good on the other side. Not in opposition. It's a different world. It's a different world to being in government. But anyway.
Well, how different is it? Just tell me how difficult it is. Seriously. How difficult the last 8 months has been for you?
Yeah, it's a fair question. It is difficult because when I came back in, I was pretty close to sort of chucking it in because you are taken away from, what do you go to Parliament for? You don't go there to eat your lunch, and you certainly don't want to go there to be in the opposition. You go there to get your opportunity. As you well know, you may disagree with what you do, but you get your opportunity to roll out your agenda. Now all of a sudden you're on the other side, and you just don't have that opportunity. You don't have that chance to roll out programs to do what you wanted to do when you went to Parliament. It's incredibly frustrating, but you just have to get your head together and think, well, what am I going to do now in opposition? How are we going to put pressure on this government? How are we going to advocate? So, from a serious note, obviously, I was very happy to see the digital bargaining bill come through. It didn't look promising, as you would remember at the start, right, Michael? Melissa Lee, and what did they call it? They called it a shakedown or something, And you had the Prime Minister. They were quite against it, but Goldie comes in, he looks at things a bit differently, and we are where we are today. So I'm reasonably comfortable when you get things, surprisingly perhaps, like the digital bargaining bill through, co-governance. You'd have to give us a bit of a tick there. I'm sure you would, reluctantly.
I always used to say, Willie, when National and Labour agree on something together, some great evil is in hand, really, don't you? and let's just go on the Fair Bargaining Digital News Bill. Yes, it's very much your bill, Willie, isn't it? I mean, you've accepted that, and you will support what Goldsmith's put before the Parliament.
Pretty much. We're going to get we're going to get around the officials when we get back in and just find out, how the ministers talked about having a ministerial oversight. So, what does that mean, Michael? What does that actually mean? Does that mean he's going to not be pushed around by the Googles or the Metas, or is he going to, what sort of influence is that? But, I'm taking it from a positive perspective that maybe he's going to just try and add his support before the regulator comes in. We're not sure who the regulator is going to be at the moment. Might be the BSA or could be the Commerce Commission, one or the other. But
God, they're both useless. Listen, but Willie, I'm looking at Canada at the moment, and I'm looking at Australia, and rather than in actual fact get vast sums of money being given to the mainstream media, Meta's decided we're out of here. Isn't that also the danger for New Zealand, particularly a small market? I can't imagine Meta or Google worry about the New Zealand market all that much. Isn't it easier for them just to walk away rather than pay any money?
Well, it's a reasonable point, but, I mean, now Google, you know how much Google makes out of New Zealand? You're talking 800 million, Michael. So
but that's not going to stop. They're just not going to do the news.
But 800 million, 150 million. Now, you talked about Canada. They've just done 100. They've just done 100. Yes, we've had some problems in Canada. Yes, you're correct. As well as that, though, I've been, going through this and talking with the officials. We've got Google just done $100 million deal in Canada. Australia, we've got 200. So that's Google just signed off on $100 million deal. Australia, we're talking 200 million. They're looking at this in the UK. New York Times are chasing it. They're chasing them in California. So, I mean, I don't know what is so bad about, and I'm serious. Why have you got a problem with a little guy being compensated for the news?
To be honest with you, I don't care. You're misunderstanding me. I really don't care.
Okay.
So it doesn't worry me personally. I don't have a particular view on this. I'm happy to look at the evidence, but I'm just saying to you that sometimes you should be careful about what you wish for, because if you might get it, and this might be one of those in which people, Meta and Google, just walk away, then I can't see that advantage in the New Zealand media at all.
Yeah, well, this is what this is what we've been warned about, but we can't just do we can't just operate on that thread. If they want to move out of the news, that would be a commercial decision for them. Be disappointing if digital platforms were to go to the effort of changing their platforms or blocking their news instead of engaging with publishers to sort of fairly compensate them for the value of the news they bring to the users. I mean, it'd be disappointing, but we've been reliably told that if they move out, they will be replaced. The other side of it is we've been told, the minister's been told, New Zealand First has been told, these guys are making so much money in the market, Michael. You're talking $1 billion a year. What on earth is 30 to 50 million coming back into the local market? How is that going to really affect them? I just don't know what the major problem here is. They should just act in good faith and work with the local media. Here's the thing, Michael. You, and it's interesting to hear your position on it. All the industry wants it, mate. It's not just the NZMEs, the Radio New Zealand. I know the platform's not interested in it. Okay, I understand that. But in terms of the select committee process, we've got the Wanganui Chronicle, we've got the Otago Daily Times, we've got the Gisborne Herald, from the small guy to the big guy.
They're all thinking the same thing. I think they've misidentified the problem, Willie, and let me put it back on you, mate. I'll explain. The reason why people don't trust the media, don't read the media in this country, the reason why they're losing viewers, readers, listeners, etc., is not because Google and Meta have come into this country. It is because people don't trust them. Their reporting style is sensationalist. They don't believe they're getting the facts. And if you just look at the recent polls in Australia, for example, almost 2/3 of Australians actively avoid the news over in that particular country because it's irrelevant to them and they don't believe that they're going to. And we have a major trust issue, Willie, as you know. We've got a major trust issue with the mainstream news media in this country at the moment. So, even if you bring this in, how is this suddenly going to save people from the effects of the New Zealand news media doing news badly?
Yeah, well, look, I'll acknowledge you've got a point there. But the point of the legislation is that these online platforms are making money through advertising, but they don't pay the news, and through news, but they don't pay the news creators for the use of the content online. I mean, That's what's driving us. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying what you're saying doesn't have merit in it. All I'm saying is that, and what the industry is saying is, our news gets taken. The big boys make all the money. We don't get paid a cent. What's the problem here?